Split the vote.
Welcome back, everyone, to another amazing season of Split the Vote. This is the Ultimate Survivor podcast made by fans for fans, a true Purple Pants podcast powered production, and we're on to season 50. I'm Rob, your host, bringing it back for my 5th season covering Survivor now. So stick with me throughout the season. We'll be giving our thoughts on each of the latest Survivor episodes. And today, I'm thrilled to have a very special guest on the podcast today. He is a true Survivor fan, a Survivor Syracuse legend, someone who I've known for their entire life, who I call my best friend. Everyone give a warm welcome to my little brother, CJ. Bro, we're finally doing a podcast together after 2 years, so I just want to know how you're feeling.
Well, I'm definitely very excited. You know, this is a cool moment for me. I mean, we've had so many like Survivor conversations like over the year, but I'm definitely very nervous. I can't even like control my voice, and like my legs are heavy and like don't feel comfortable. But I know we've done this a million times. It's just a lot. It's just a lot right now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a new experience. And it's just us two fans talking about Survivor, which I feel like can't be a better thing for a season that literally that's called In the Hands of the Fans, right? So, of course, we got all the fans possible talking about this upcoming season of Survivor. So, I think we just dive into it. We'll briefly recap the premiere and talk a lot about episode 2 today. And I know for me, I've been anticipating this season so much. Like ever since we've been voting for what's going to happen for season 50 all the way back to season 48. We're like, what kind of advantages are going to be in play? Are we going to give them Brice? And trying to figure out like which players are going to be on season 50. And then when you see everyone get off the boats, onto the beach, like roll up, standing in that big long line with 24 players talking to Jeff. I mean, dude, like I was getting goosebumps just because you could see legends from every single era getting onto the beach. Like you have your Jenna from season 1, Colby from Australian Outback season 2, all the way with like current winners like Savannah and Kyle. Like you genuinely have so many people from so many different eras. So I couldn't believe just that like it's finally happening, and I just have so much built up for how great this season can be just because of the level of like strategic knowledge and gameplay that everyone is coming to the beach with. Like there's so much Survivor experience, and I'm just super excited for this season.
Yeah, I think for me, like what I was most excited about for season 50 was like being able to see like my favorite players again that like I've wanted to watch since their last season. Like the first people I think about is like I want to see Rick Devens again. Like he like deserved redemption after the way he went out. Christian's definitely like one of my favorite players too, and I mean he's already been killing it, Fred. It's only been 2 episodes, and he's a dog. But I definitely got into Survivor. Like I'm more familiar like seasons 30 and later, and so but I really do enjoy like getting to know like some of the younger players that I'm less like familiar with.
Completely. Dude, I remember when I was in my era of binge watching every single season, and South Pacific, like we finally rolled up to season 23. In the middle of the summer, it was like one of the hottest days of the year, and you and me spent the entire 2 days just binge watching like every single season of Ozzy versus Coach. So I just think it's so funny that it's like you got both of those players playing back in season 50 when like we were watching that season for the first time together too. And I mean, off the gate, like those are 2 players whose beef has still continued from the first time they played until now. So it is kind of great seeing that in action already out of the gate in season 50. But yeah, I feel like let's just get into what's been like some of the biggest things that you've kind of scene or they just like want to talk about from the latest episode. I know for me, like at the beginning of episode 2, when we kind of get a close up on like Christian and his little hunch that he has like on the beach when he's like, oh, like something's wrong right here. And he starts wobbling like a penguin over to the side where he's just clutching his butt. You know,
Yeah,
I did
bro.
feel so bad for him in that moment.
You know, I don't want to say that like Christian like pooping his pants like speaks volumes to his character, but like the way that he handled it just being like pretty much with full transparency and just being like, you know what, it happens. Like really just shows like how much of like a good like attitude that he's got. I mean like, bro, nobody wants to poop their pants. Like, and he's like, well, I won't have underwear.
Dude, I think it's so funny how he explains it also like in his like scientific jargon as well, you know? Because that's just who he is. It's how he thinks and how he talks. So that was one moment of this episode that's just like, this dude is just like the most unserious, serious guy on this beach. Like we know how intelligent he is, but he's just so charismatic. Like he draws me in even doing like the most random BS.
Yeah, bro. You know who also got a kick out of Christian pooping his pants, bro? Bro, Joe did. Joe was actually like he thought that was like the funniest thing he's ever seen. But he's like, yo, and he's got a turtle coming out. He's like lying down on the beach crying, bro. Like, oh my god, that was silly.
Yeah, Joe's definitely a character. I think we can even. That's a lot that's on my mind too with this latest episode, right? With Joe, just because
Definitely.
they talked a lot about how they need to play around Joe in his game of honor and integrity that he's kind of known for. I don't know about all that, but like in season 48, like he needed to be in the know and have a sense of control every single vote. And I feel like that's not really the perspective that like a player can really have nowadays on Survivor. Like especially when you're playing with so many different returners, you can't expect to know or really control what people say or do. I feel like Rick Devens put it really well in the episode when he's talking about like, Joe, like people are going to be talking in front of you and you're not going to know every single situation that's like happening. So like you kind of have to be okay with that. I feel like that is the way you got to kind of look at how people are going to be making relationships and how people are going to be strategic during the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, bro, Survivor, you got to be comfortable with the uncomfortable of like people talking around you. One thing I do want to ask though is like I just want to understand like Joe's perspective, like, and like he's played season 48. That's right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when he was in his like pre-merge team, was he just like winning every challenge? So like did he never actually have to like be with his team and like take people out? Like do you remember like what happened with his tribe?
Yeah, I mean, he was just always in such a great position. I think because people really were drawn to him as a person and they saw his connection with Eva, and he was just someone that everyone kind of relied on because they were winning and they were kind of able to tiptoe around like not needing to vote out people. And then when they hit the merge and they create like the strongman's alliance, like you had other people with shared values like David, who really wanted to play that like open, honest integrity game. Eva's one of those players. So that's just kind of the way that the game shaped out in Joe's favor, largely because he was a big facilitator in that. But that playstyle is not really one that's entirely replicated on the season, even though we still see people like Colby and Coach who it's like an old school Survivor like mindset that Joe has, where it's about like your work ethic and your honesty, because like those are two things that Colby and Coach preached like throughout their Survivor experience. Like Colby is all about working hard in camp, and Coach is like the most honest and like most integrity driven person in the world. So if you even
Coach
question
has
that,
more
like
integrity, and he's more humble than everybody else on
completely,
the show, and he's
yeah.
got to tell you about it all the time. But that's my guy, though.
Dude, especially when he reminded everyone to at the first chance he got at the reward challenge, right? When he is like just pointing over and calling out Ozzy. I'm looking at Coach and it's just like, bro, like you don't need to be doing this right now. But it's Coach being Coach, and you know what? Like that's why he's back here on season 50. And why before the season I had you watch season 18, so you got to see the first season with Coach in action. Because I mean, it's just so important to really understand who he is as a person.
Yeah, bro. And you know what? Like you were definitely not the only one. Like not just like as a fan being like, Coach, what are we doing, bro? Like I remember D and Camilla being like, "What is this guy talking about, bro?" Like they're literally thinking to themselves like, "Yo, this dude needs to get a grip right now. Like this is not it's not that deep, bro." But
Did you? No, sorry, you go.
well, I think like kind of similar to like the struggle that like Joe's having specifically with Rick Devens and his tribe. Like I think a big theme of this season is how there's like definitely people with like a traditional old school thought of playing, and then also but then you have people like Camilla and D that and Tiff that are like and Rizzo that are all like newcomers like, yo, I'm not here to play camp, bro. I'm here to slit throats. Like I'm not here for anything else. And so I think that's something that like I think the duality between the play styles is something that makes the season like very interesting. And I think it like compares to like the shifts of Survivor gameplay between like seasons 20 through 30, where like okay, like 1 through 20 is like old school, but then we start seeing like this new school strategy come up. But like in that time period, like the new school strategy was just starting to develop. It wasn't like polarized yet. But I feel like with this cast of players, like the old school people versus the new school, it's almost like today's like country and politics. Like everything's just so radicalized. Like your old school players, Kobe, I mean, Coach, like those guys are like pure old school. But then you have the new school people that are also like, bro, I'm not doing this. Like, Coach, get a grip, bro. Like, this is not what we're doing. And so I think it's a really interesting blend, like for this season.
And I think it's really interesting how the old school players almost have to catch up to the type of gameplay that's being played now in this current era of Survivor. The first person I really think of is Jenna, who was the first, like, one of the first people to play this game all the way back in season 1. And the game that was played in season 1 and season 8 when she played dramatically different played now, even though at that time she's playing with winners like Ethan and then future winner in Boston Rob, like literally playing with some of the greatest players of all time. But that gameplay is so different to now, and I think that's why, like, at least in the premiere, like, we see her being aggressive out of the gate, aggressively throwing out Surie's name. And I think a lot of it is because, like, probably the advice that she got is like, the game is played much faster nowadays in this current era. You need to get into an alliance. You need to make sure that your name is not being thrown out there, that someone else's name is being talked about. So like, that's why I think Jenna almost took that approach into being so aggressive in the beginning of the game, because she was trying her best to adapt to this new style that is just so easily like executed and flawlessly played by like players like Kyle and Camilla together in a duo that can lie so easily, that can have a hidden relationship, keep it from everybody on the beach, and still play the game to a T, right? So like, I think we saw that too in season 40 as well, where it was a huge divide of a lot of the players from like season, like the winners from 28 and on, or like sometime in there, right? Where it's just like, if you played like pre-20 or post-20, like there was a divide in who kind of brought like played in the way that they played the game. Like you see players like Parvati, Danny from that season just really fall through the cracks just because they weren't able to keep up with the winners who had just gotten like out of the game, fresh blood, that are playing in the new current era of how Survivor's played. So it's definitely something that everyone's going to be navigating on the beach throughout the season.
Yeah, something I thought like Jenna's approach is like some people think like the new era game is like you have to be cutthroat to constantly be thinking about like, who are we gonna get out? Like that, like Jenna's prerogative was like, Suri guys, we have to go Suri, and that's kind of like all she was doing. But I'm like one of my biggest like survivor tenets is like you like I know the objective is to vote somebody out, but like you got to spend your time thinking about like who you're working with rather than like who you're trying to get out, because the people you work with are going to keep you in the game, like, and that's what really matters. And so she was too laser focused, but I need to be aggressive, I need to be cutthroat, and it dug her grave.
Hey, dude, it's almost like you've been listening to me talk about Survivor for years, because that's like the one thing that I always say that people gotta focus on at the beginning of the season. It's not about how can I keep myself safe and who should I vote out. It's how do I keep myself safe, but who do I relate to? Who can I work with? You have to focus on who can I work with rather than who am I gonna target and vote out first, because it's so much easier to figure out who do I think I can go to once I hear a person's name, or once I think of something of like, how can I throw this person under the bus? Like, you want to make sure that you have connections and relationships of people that you think want to work with you. And at the beginning of the game, nothing's given, but you gotta just kind of throw mud at the wall and hope it sticks, and that those relationships kind of play out in your favor. But you need the relationships. You can't just be like, Suri's a dangerous player, we should vote out Suri. Because what about all the, because she's a dangerous player, she's super strategic. Think about the other players on that beach that are also super dangerous and super strategic. Like, how does someone like Christian interpret that information? You know what I'm saying?
Like, to get out of every strategic, but literally everybody, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
And if that were the case, then it's just gonna set up a domino effect where all of the big, dangerous, strategic people will be voted out in order, one by one by one. So you can't, like, a player like Suri, yes, you want to vote her out. I thought she was going to be the first person voted out for that reason, and I wasn't too far off. She was one of the first people targeted. We see her name written down, and... But that's the reality that you need. It's just the meat shield, right? It's Jeremy Collins's meat shield strategy just in full effect, where it's like, well, we can't keep the biggest shield. Like, we got to keep her in the game because we can't vote her out. But it's really interesting how all of these Survivor strategies that have kind of come up and accumulated throughout the years, it's all coming to a head now, just based off how people have played the game, what strategies have been employed, and I don't know. I'm really excited to see how this game plays out for sure. And we've already seen a number of different approaches to very similar instances that have occurred in the game. And one thing I'm thinking about is the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, right? We've seen 2 of those already in play, and I think they've been handled in different ways, right? Like, in the first episode, we see Genevieve find the first Billie Eilish boomerang idol, and she's considering in her mind, like, well, I might want this back in my pocket. How can I get this? Like, and she's going through the process of, like, should I give it to someone that I think will get voted out early? Or should I maybe, so it ends up in my pocket, or should I maybe give it to someone who I think would want to work with me and extend an olive branch? And I think the fact that she gives that to Ozzy, kind of, like, that doesn't really seem like a connection move. That seems like a move to get the idol back in your pocket, because...
Yeah, can I step in here?
Totally.
Like, the Genevieve's point was like, well, I remember Ozzy getting voted out with an idol in his pocket, so I think, like, that would happen again. So, like, that's why she gave it to Ozzy. It's like, oh, he can slip up because of his average strategic game. And so he's like, bro, he sucks. He's like, I'm average. Yeah, so let's see. Like, Genevieve was like, okay, do I want to give to somebody that I get it back, or to build a relationship, right? Which is a good thing to think about. Like, but Christian, bro, and it's just the guy that he takes it such a step further of, like, the level of thinking. He, like, from Christian choosing Aubrey, he's like, well, I don't just want to like choose a person based off like if I think I can get them out of the or like if they'll get voted out with the idol. Like I want to choose somebody that I might be able to work with for the idol and somebody that thinks they're going to work with me that I can vote them out to get the idol back, bro. Like that's actually so genius, dude. Like to be like, well, I'm going to have somebody who thinks they can trust me, but I'm gonna know like something that will gravitate to me. But I know I can get that whenever I want. I can get the idol whenever I want. Like that's so smart and devious, bro, and devious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
I couldn't agree more. I think it's like Aubrey was a perfect choice for that. And she is a player who is super skittish at the beginning of every single season that she plays. I think she's cried on day 1 or 2 in every single season. And not that like to say that crying is bad or anything like that, but she's always talked about how she's had those insecurities and those anxieties really come to the surface when she's playing Survivor. And this is a huge season. There's a lot at stake here. So I think Aubrey has everyone knows how Aubrey is played at this point. She's a super social strategic player, but they know her game too. Everyone knows who Aubrey is and the game that she plays. So and we see that the people on her tribe weren't really like fucking with her too at the beginning. Like she had that really awkward standoff with Genevieve where they were talking to dude, awkward. Yes, we're like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about you. And then it's just like 8 seconds of silence where they're just staring back and forth at each other. Like, it's really awkward. And then later, like when you have Genevieve, like in this past episode, like thinking then about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, where it's like, man, like wait, this could have been found on another beach. I haven't received anything. What if someone else on this beach has one? And she's thinking, well, what if Aubrey has it? Because she's got to be thinking like, this is someone who I might want to target. I want to make sure that they don't have an advantage as good as the a real idol that can only be played on Aubrey, right? So like she has to go like the full 9 yards and dig through the bag, and she was just a little too late. Everyone on that beach, Genevieve genuinely clocked it immediately, but a little too late.
I'd love to talk about this. I felt like there were multiple moments like this past episode where we saw like professional Survivor like being played. Like and the first moment was when the whole Purple tribe was like, yo, as a team we're gonna collectively like search Aubrey's bag perfectly. And you got Stephanie being like the decoy, like, oh, I'm gonna go distract Aubrey. She does it perfectly. Aubrey's got no idea. She thinks, oh, somebody's coming to talk to me. This is nice. And then you got Q on lookout, bro. you got the watchman, bro. Whoop, whoop. Like what? Oh my god. But and then you got Genevieve being like, okay, everything needs to be put in the right order. And Rizzo's like, okay, like I'm checking it with you, like. Bro, it was a fully staged, perfect operation with like professional grade, dude. I was impressed. I thought it was hilarious, bro. I thought it was really cool.
It was pretty much like Aubrey's bag was going through like a TSA check, right? And it's going through like the conveyor belt of all the Survivor players coming through this stuff with all the security people on the side, and it passed the check. She just didn't realize that it was just coming and shipped later.
Going like this, and she got no idea either. She's getting the whole scam. She's like, this day's kind of tough. Like, bro, they got her.
And you know what? I think it'll be a really interesting if that tribe were to have gone to tribal council to see like, well, is Aubrey going to play the idol or not? But we are going to head into a tribe swap next episode. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll just see how those dynamics kind of unfold and shape out and where Aubrey stands with her idol. But there could be complications where, hey, there's maybe someone on that beach that is now with Aubrey that knows that, hey, we gave her the boomerang idol, and we can maybe see how that plays out. And same could be said for Ozzy and Genevieve as well. We'll just have to see how the tribes are divided as we come up to the season to episode 3. And I think that's great that we already have those dynamics in play, as well as the extra votes that are in Ozzy's pocket. And the fact that we have players in Colby and Q that do not have votes. So there's already so much in play. And the fact that Savannah's block vote is out of the game, it makes me think that we're going to have another journey the next episode too. And there's going to be another dynamic advantage put back into the game. I mean, I think I did vote for the strategic advantage use for season 50. In the hands of the fans, like we had the decision to vote for low key advantages, dynamic advantages, or strategic. I'm definitely more of the strategy kind of guy, but I know the Survivor fans, we voted for the dynamic and majority rules. So I bet you we're going to see another advantage in play probably in the next episode. And I would like to see one played at Tribal Council too. Not just that it's in someone's hands and that we have the ammunition building, but I feel like we're gonna get to a point where these advantages are going to start coming out. But like how people handle the knowledge of like, do I tell people about this advantage? Do I not? I think it'll just be really interesting in how people utilize that information to try to build relationships.
I really like what you said there, building relationships, because it brings me to my point of like you gotta spend more time finding who to work with and like who you connect with. And we've kind of talked about this before, but like when you have like returners coming back into a season, like everybody's got some type of PTSD or like something that they've learned from of like, okay, this is what I do when I get on the beach. Like you learn the fundamentals of what not to do. And and so like the first thing you do, get in a majority alliance. Like that's always the first thought of everybody. But when everybody's so focused about getting into a majority, they forget the important step of, well, what makes a good majority alliance? And it's by actually building like deep interpersonal like relationships. Like with returners, you often see like they're so focused on the deal making that they forget the first step to actually like the people they're working with. And so I could totally see how these advantages that are rumored like between like different tribes, like, oh, I know Ozzy has something, I know Aubrey has something, like how's that gonna work like for the information? Like that doesn't really develop like a true genuine relationship. I mean, you can get people on your side and that's definitely good, but like it's just a level of relationship that like isn't as deep.
100%. But I do think there are times where it's needed, where you might need to disclose the advantages that you have, because these, like you said, these are all professionals. We're playing A-grade Survivor. Everyone's playing tip-top game as much as possible. So when you have a player go on a journey and then seemingly come back with nothing, your vote's still intact, like Savannah did, where she came back with an advantage in her pocket, didn't tell anybody. I think that can rub players who are returning like the wrong way, because they know that there are advantages at almost every single journey, if not that like there's going to be a complication with a vote. And you have a new player in Savannah who is completely unconnected to everybody on the beach except for Rizzo, since her season hadn't even aired by the time that they were playing. She was literally off the beach coming back after 2 weeks of playing and winning Survivor 49. So you have this winner in Savannah. Nobody knows who she is. Savannah, maybe it might have been a really good idea to use that advantage as, hey, I want to build trust with you. I want to work with you. Here's a block. This is my block vote. Here's me giving you information that can help us in the game. Because if you think about it, a block vote advantage is not one of the most powerful advantages in the game. All you're doing is stopping one vote. So when there's 21 players left in the game, it's not that threatening, because you're gonna have tribes with 8 or so
21
people.
votes in the game.
Literally, and it's nice, only good with
you got less than 5% of power over the total votes.
So I think that was a little bit of a miscue by Savannah, but I think it only depends. I think How you acquire the advantages, though, definitely impacts if you tell people or not, right?
Mm.
If I think if you were to find an advantage just like out in the open, no one knew it was there. Like I think about someone like Sophie B from season 49 where she had the knowledge is power advantage and she acquired it in a way where no one knew that it could even be in
A
her pocket.
possibility. Yeah.
So that's the time I think when you keep an advantage to yourself. If there is
Oh.
some sort of like public possibility of like everyone knowing that this advantage is in play and it exists, you tell people. You do not want to get caught lying or
Yeah.
withholding information. So I think these, like when I look at like the Billie
Especially at
Eilish,
this stage of the game, bro.
completely, because
Especially at this stage of the game.
you want to build your relationships, you want to get a good solid footing. If you build a good relationship and then like 5 days a week goes by and someone realizes that you've been lying to them or you haven't been fully honest with them as possible, they're not going to want to trust you. They'll work
Yeah.
with you until it's time to get rid of you. So when you have this public information of advantages out there, I genuinely think you have to do your due diligence and tell people about it. So when I see the Billie Eilish idol in play, this is something that people are going to know because it's an idol given to you by another person. So when I think of the players like Ozzy and Aubrey who have gotten and received these idols, I think you need to tell people that like who you want to work with that you have this advantage just because it can be that much more beneficial for you. Because then you still have people who are like Rick Devens and Christian who are colluding with each other where it's like, well, we're gonna give this person the idol and then we're gonna like see like how this happens, right? Like that, like Christian ends up telling Rick Devens like about that, but like the knowledge is already spreading. People are gonna know that these advantages are in play, and when people tribe swap them and they mix up tribes or they're trying to build that information, like they're gonna talk about someone else's advantage to someone that like doesn't have that advantage, right? And I think you just got to do your due
Yeah.
diligence and talk about public information, stuff that can easily get traced back to the source.
So what I think is kind of interesting to go back to like Savannah being unwilling to share her advantage is that she talked a lot. Like she had like this emotional speech at Tribal saying that like Survivor taught her like to be more vulnerable, like in who she is as a person, and vulnerability is like really important to building trust with people. Because if you're not vulnerable, you're not being yourself. But it's interesting that like Savannah could see how, like, okay, maybe as like a person, I need to be vulnerable, but she couldn't see like, oh, I have an advantage. Maybe I need to be vulnerable in a strategic sense with these people as well in order to build that trust. So I just find it like fascinating that she's sitting at trial being like, I'm here to be more vulnerable. Yet she has this tool of power that can connect her with others, and she's like, won't do it, won't do it. It's really quite interesting.
You know, I think it's because humans, like people, we're creatures of habit. We, as much as people want to change, we're so adverse to change. And Savannah specifically is coming off a season. She just won 2 weeks ago. And when you consider the game that she played, she had a lot of power with the advantages that her, Rizzo, and Sophie had in their back pockets. And that's how they were able to navigate being like the most threatening three players, even though like it's literally three of them up against seven other people on the beach, yet they still have the most power because
That's
they had the
ridiculous.
advantages in their pockets. So it's like it's a continuation of that game, and she's almost
Um,
stuck in that same mindset where it's like, well,
yeah.
this is how I won, this is how I have to play, this is how I'm going to play because I'm a winner, I know what to do. And I'm not saying she's narcissistic and that sort of thinking. It's just like you get stuck in your old habits, in your old ways, and your approaches to playing the game.
Savannah was confident. She learned that I could be in the minority, but they won't be scared of my advantage. They're not going to go after me,
Hmm.
and
And
they did, and they did.
And you know what? But she, and I know she's thinking like, well, I'm willing to share this information if the time comes, because she was very willing to tell a Rizzo and a Sophie B about her advantage that she had in season 49. So we know that this is her game. She is capable of doing it, but it's at the right time. And she's questioning
And
like,
with the
is
right people,
with the right people,
which she said she
and
couldn't find.
that she's been having a hard time. And you know what? That's fair. You're kind of, when you're the new person on the block, you're put into like the spotlight where it's like, okay, well, like she might be a reporter, but everyone else is interviewing her, being like, well, who are you? What game have you played? Why the fuck are you here when literally none of us know who you are? So she's kind of put on the defense in that way. So it's a hard place to manage. And when you have players like Joe and Rick Devens on the beach before Tribal Council who are literally blowing up at each other, why would Savannah expose her game when it doesn't really seem like she's going to be the person that goes home too? It's like time and place. There are other people with a lot more bullshit going on, that have a lot more bullshit going on. This isn't the time for me to tell people about the advantage. We had like Jenna blurting out Cerie's name and Ozzy being a possibility to the first episode, and then this like the same thing happens with Rick Devens and Joe. So in Savannah's mind, it's like, well, I'm fine. I'll keep playing my game and I'll find my people and then I'll tell the people at the right time. But what did you think about Joe and Rick Devens and their kind of blow up going into Tribal Council?
Okay, so I'll start this by saying like Joe and Rick Devens are probably like two of my favorite characters in Survivor history. I really like the archetype of Joe. It's like, yo, these are my people and like I'm gonna stick by them. And really what I thought Rick Devens and Joe they're having a battle of honor. Like Joe's like, yo, like, you know, I'm gonna play the way I play, like I'm gonna be honest with you. And Rick's pissed about it, bro. He's pissed about it. But he's also like, God, but like I kinda want like but I feel like I should be honorable. Like I don't want to be called not honorable. And so it felt to me like for any musical fans out there, it felt a lot like Alexander Hamilton versus Aaron Burr. Like right at the end when they're about to duel and like one's gonna go to the death and they write each other a letter and they're like, I have the like, dear Rick Devens. Like Joe starts off tribal being like, he's apologizing. He's like, yo, dear Rick Devens, I just want to say I have the honor to be your obedient servant. And it was a great apology. Like you could tell Joe really meant it. It was sincere. He was like, I acted out. I don't want to be this way. And Rick's like, yo, fuck this guy. I'm the honor to be your obedient servant for fuck you. Like he wasn't happy about it. So there's definitely like, you know, there's a feud going on. But there's still like there's a pull between them being like, well, I have to be honorable, like, and I'm like humble enough to do it your way, but god damn it, I don't want to do it your way. Like, so it's just messy, and you know, one of them might get shot.
Yeah, and you know what? It's totally fair. It's just because of like the personalities and the conflicts and how people choose to approach the game. And Joe's approach is still a very similar approach that other people have in the game, like a Colby, like a coach who have that sense. So it's not like Rick Devens is only like, they're all like, well, we gotta like navigate around Joe's game, like Emily's saying that like on the beach. And it's not just Joe that's gonna be playing this game. There's other people who do approach the game of Survivor this way. And it's a complication in their eyes that they're gonna have to navigate. Everyone doesn't play the game the same way. So if you're choosing to work with Joe, as they voted out Savannah and not Joe this episode, they're still choosing to work with him. They're playing his game, and you know what? They might be upset about it, but Joe got his way. Joe's playing Joe's game, and he didn't get voted out. I do think he is kind of a controversial character, Joe, because I feel like there's been a lot of like dissatisfaction in how Joe chooses to play the game, like within the Survivor fan like reactions, like in the community, like online. Like I see comments and people are like not impressed of the way that Joe plays. Like they think it's like slow, boring, old school Survivor, but I feel like his gameplay, it breeds conflict because it is like he does move like a glacier. He needs all this information. He needs those aspects of control. But like that's where the conflict comes from. And I think he is such a great, genuine guy. I've always said that I think if he's willing, I said this before the season, but if he's willing to change his approach and be a little bit more cutthroat, he totally has winner potential. And you know what? I hope he's just setting up his game where it's like, this is how I'm playing, but then late, like, of this whole honor, integrity, and that kind of like persona that he's given off. But he needs to switch up and play with some spine, let go of these core values of his a little bit to really blossom his strategic game. He needs to do that if he wants a shot to win the season and earn the respect of the players that he's playing with. Not everyone might agree with how he plays the game, but if he wants to win, he needs them to recognize the game that he plays, and they have to have respect for it. I think about like a coach in season 23 where he got to the end, he goes up against Sophie and has played his game of honor integrity that he thinks that he played to a T, but then you have people like Ozzy who don't agree with his play style and actively talk the jury out of voting for him to win, right?
Yeah.
So I think if Joe wants to be recognized as a great player, not just by the players on the beach, but the Survivor fans too, he needs to be able to adapt. And that's where I do think people are creatures of habit. And I am a little worried after watching the first 2 episodes of the season that, like, is Joe going to be able to change? Is he going to be able to adapt his game style to really fit the new mold that everyone else on this beach is playing with, how they're choosing to play the game?
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see, bro. We'll have to see. One thing that I did think was interesting and also kind of like a duality that you've talked about was, like, Christian said at Tribal Council, like, you know, what you're looking for in a tribe and in an ally is somebody that's, like, reliable and somebody you can count on. And what I thought was so interesting was that, like, when he said that, it seemed like Joe kind of reacted like, oh, I'm not reliable. Like, it sounded like it was a knock against Joe. But I feel like in Joe's, like, simple, old school play style, that is a more reliable ally that you want. Because he's not jumping ship, bro. You got a good relationship. So I thought it was kind of weird how, like, Joe, it was just perceived as somebody you got to work around, because if you got him, you're just with him. So, like, could you explain, like, what is it about Joe that, like, you have to work around him?
I think it's about the way that it seemed like everyone communicated. It was like he needed to know everything about what was being said at all times on the beach. It was a lot of, like, Survivor conversations that are happening around him that he's not involved in, and he was involved in almost every single conversation on his beach. How, like, in season 48, how they chose to play is just a little bit different of how everyone on this beach has played in their own Survivor experiences. So, like, you see him, like, fidgeting and scratching his, like face, like, getting all like that when he sees, like, Savannah and Rick Devens talking with each other on the beach, like, right in front of him, just, like, whispering, like, little, like, hearsay, like, nothing that big, but that Survivor paranoia is so real, and it affects players so differently. So that paranoia just really seeps into Joe, and it impacts, from my perspective, his need for control that he is accustomed to having in the game of Survivor. I think everybody always seeks control just in life over, like, themselves and their autonomy, and it's also extremely crucial in the game of Survivor too, because you only have one life in the game, and if you make a wrong decision, or if you say the wrong thing to someone else, or someone says one conversation, it can literally change the entire course of the game. So if you're letting the fear that, like, man, like, I don't know if I'm that solid in my relationships. Like, what if they're talking about me behind my back or even right here in front of me? Like, if you let those like negative thoughts really impact you, it can make you spiral like it did for Joe.
Yeah. And Joe's trauma, which he's talked about on the show, is like there's this one piece of information I didn't know when I played, and it's the reason I lost. Like just that one thing he didn't know Kyle and Camilla's relationship. Joe gets the end and he doesn't win because of it. So like you're right. He's definitely paranoid, bro. Because he's like, if I don't know one thing, oh my god, the world's over. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe Joe will just get more comfortable with the uncomfortable as the game goes on. I feel like that's like if he's going to progress, he's just gonna have to like his expectation of knowing everything, like all knowledge being public knowledge, like bro, that's just not gonna be the case. Like if Joe can just focus, like these are my people, I'm gonna be honest, loyal, and like play with integrity with them, he'll be good. But he's got to be fine with just not knowing all public information.
It'll be definitely something he'll have to grapple with. And I don't know. I'll be excited to see how that continues down into the future, right? I think one other thing I'm really excited for to really see how this plays out is the relationships, the alliance that has Q, Colby, Stephanie, and Genevieve, how that really comes to fruition because Q and Colby don't have a vote, and they're looking at their tribe, and they're like, you know who we really need to bring in for our alliance? We need the Riz God, baby!
Whoa!
I just think... I
God, bro.
him being on season 50, I think is shocking for a lot of people, but I don't think it's shocking for me. This is a player who is a huge Survivor superfan. That's his archetype of the season. He loves and knows every single player on that beach. So that's the perspective that he has, is like, Colby was 25 years old when he first played, and now Rizzo's 25 years old playing with Colby, right? It's just like that little like difference in perspective where you have that was like Rizzo was literally born when Colby played for the first time. Let's talk about like that's insane. But like I don't know. I think you have like the young Gen Z archetype really like infiltrating that group of people because he's so dominant, he's so perceptive, like what he was saying in the episode. But I'm really excited to see how Rizzo like changes his approach, because he recognized that hey, he didn't have the relationships out of the gate like he did in his season of season 49, and he's at least made some progress and headway into making those relationships. Like we see in the first episode of the season, like Colby's fucking pissed off by Rizzo and like him not working around camp because Rizzo, like you said earlier, doesn't view this game as like, well, we need to work around camp. Like I'm here to slit throats, and that's the Rizzo game, right? So I think it'll just be really interesting how that relationship and group of people are going to end up maybe potentially needing to rely on Rizzo. And I hope he kind of makes a part in this game, because I think he's one of the most interesting and eccentric players that we have in this season.
Yeah. To talk about Rizzo, I think something else that's interesting about him is Savannah's the only other player that was on his season, now on season 50. So I'm not 100% sure, but Rizzo might be the only person in the whole game that isn't like tied to somebody in some shape or form. And at the very least, nobody even knows how he's played. He just got off the island 2 weeks ago. So of everybody in the game that like wants to be cutthroat, like jib and jab, like switch teams, Rizzo's definitely in a spot where he's the most free to do so. So I mean, I love the Riz God, bro. Like, I believe in him, and I'm excited to see what he does.
I don't want to call him like Russell from season 20, but Russell, like when he played Heroes versus Villains, he played season 19. No one knew the game that he really played going into 20 since his season hadn't aired. And we see Russell dominate that season because he was able to be the villain that he was a second time in a row, right?
Yeah.
And we see him get all the way to the end and lose to Sandra and Parvati. And then the next time when everyone does know the game that he plays, when he comes back and plays season 22 against Boston Rob, like you see him get dumped immediately because they know Russell's game,
Yeah.
right? They know how he plays. So I think Rizzo has the kind of like the ability to have that same outcome in a way where
Autonomy in gameplay between
Oh.
his two seasons. Like
in a
he's-
way where he can control the narrative of how, like, no one knows how he played, what he's really like as a Survivor player. You see him as the person he's trying to like communicate and like come out to like potentially be, but like no one, like you said, no one knows the game that Rizzo played. It was only Savannah and what Savannah shared and what Rizzo shared. So there's so much knowledge about Rizzo's game that is so unknown by everybody else. So Rizzo can kind of control his own narrative of how he played to everybody else, so he can kind of keep that hidden. Like
and that's
maybe
such a
he
freedom. That's
so
so
mu-
freeing for him
so-
compared to everybody else.
when everybody knows how everyone else played their game because their seasons have aired, which does make Rizzo's game definitely a little threatening, of course, because it's like, well, here is like, do we want to deal with this unknown, right? And I think that was definitely a consideration with Savannah, where it's like, well, people didn't have a relationship with her. They know she won. That's a threatening player. Maybe we just need to take this person out, right? At least Rizzo didn't win. Like he has that going for him to be successful in this season. And he is a little bit of like a golden retriever. Like he's literally the youngest person in this game, and I think people could perceive him in a way where it's like he's just a fucking kid. Like he's literally my age, you know? Like like that's fair when everyone is like between the ages of like 30 to 55 or whatever. Like
Yeah, and there's
it's just in
definitely,
nature.
like, a lot of intimidating people on the cast. Like just because of their prowess and their aura of history and accomplishments of Survivor. Like, I mean, I love the Riz God, but Bros might be the skinniest player like on the season. He's lengthy. He doesn't look athletic, and he's not like the provider. So like, he's not the person I'd be most scared about.
Definitely not.
All right, should we get to the Torchy Award?
You know what? I think you're reading my mind. So, what is the Torchy Awards, you might be asking? So, every episode, me and my co-host, this episode CJ, we will each individually give a player our Torchy Award for being the player of the episode. So it could be a player who you think maybe played the best overall game during that episode, or just someone you loved watching. Maybe they had a special moment that you want to give some praise and shout out them for. So we'll both put up a couple nominees and explain why we're considering giving them our Torchy Award this episode. So, without further ado, CJ, who are your nominees for this week's Torchy Award?
Very nice. Thank you for letting me go first. To clarify, I get to choose between two people.
You get to choose between the full cast, but you can have as many nominees as you really want.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, one nomination's got to be Christian, bro. It's got to be Christian. I mean, bro poops his pants, gets a 6-1 like unanimous vote against Savannah. Somehow like finds like keeping that vote unanimous is very impressive. Like alone, because there's a lot of different train of like thoughts to choose from. Even you can even say like Christian consoling Joe in the hammock by rocking him like a baby. Like that's literally a move that deserves credit. Like so Christian's definitely he's got like I feel like at this rate he's gonna be a nomination every week, like undoubtedly. Let's see. My other nomination would be Suri, because just last week or I don't know 2 days ago on the island, she was the name that was being thrown around the most. and yet somehow she was really the one that seemed like she was pushing the names, and she was getting away with it. Like she's going up to Savannah and Emily, being like, "Yo, like, should we do Joe? Should we do Joe?" I also thought it was interesting when she was like suggesting a name. She was covering her mouth, like, "Oh, I don't know." And then like just before that, she's sitting with Emily, and maybe it was Christian or Emily and Devins, and she's like, "Should we be going for Savannah?" Like she's got an advantage, so she was like just throwing names out there, and they were eating it up. And then like, and she just had her own name out there, and it was fine. Like that's elite level gameplay right there. Um, ah, can we just give
Well
Coach?
said.
Can we give Coach a coach nomination? He did a coach
Yes.
thing. Does that count?
Yeah, I think so. I think this will be a Torchy Award kind of for the premiere and episode 2. So Coach should totally get a nomination. I couldn't agree more, right? Yeah, I think your 3 nominations of Christian, Suri, and Coach, I think those are 3 incredible people to really be considering. And you know what? If we're gonna do those 2 episodes together, I'll throw those are. I mean, dude, we're brothers. We think like a pretty similar way, right? Because
Yeah.
I also had Christian as one of my nominees. Like you said, I feel like he's just been able to flawlessly execute his gameplay this season. He's still super endearing, and you want to work with him. His relationship with Rick Devens is so freaking cute. His ability to also like work Joe, like you said, rocking him like a baby in the hammock. And dude, that little shot they had where they're like looking at him through the webbing of the hammock, literally so freaking funny. Like the production team knows what they're doing. But I also think Christian was super smart when he was thinking about how to utilize the boomerang idol and giving it to Aubrey, where it could definitely come back to him, or that also opens the door for her to like want to work with him in the future too, if it so happens. So he's definitely getting a nominee from me. Suri is also getting my nominee for being such a dangerous player and really saving her skin the last 2 episodes. I think if you let her cook, she's going to go far. So she got through 2 of the most important votes for her game. Now she has all the time in the world to really continue to build and utilize those relationships to her advantage. So she's also getting a nomination for me. And Coach is getting my 3rd nomination as well for all of his dude. Last week I was like, shit, like Coach, Ozzy, and Christian were the 3 people I was, and Suri. It's like the same. Well, so to give away my cards, Coach is getting a nominee for me, and so is Ozzy too, because I think he also played a very pivotal role last week as well, where his name was being out there. He only has worked with Suri and wants to continue to work with Suri, and both of them were able to save their own skin. He has an extra vote. I think he set up his game super well for now, the time being, though he does seem a little bit unwavering to change. But yeah, I mean, Coach is a player that I'm super excited to watch for too. He's just a goof, so I think that's why he gets a nominee for me. So a lot of nominees on the table. I mean, it's 24 players that we are considering for this first Torchy Award that we're giving out. But CJ, of your nominees, who is getting your Torchy Award this week?
I gotta give it to Suri. Suri's getting my Torchy Award. Being able to bounce back from the first episode where she's like crying, she knows she's having a bad day, like sold the challenge, is an easy first vote, and then bounces back the next week and like throwing names at the wall, just seeing what sticks, and she gets the job done, and she does it swiftly. And so that was really impressive. So I got to give it to her.
All right, great pick. And I think for me, for my Torchy Award, I will be giving Christian my Torchy Award for the premiere episode and episode 2. And one thing that we have still yet to really talk about in full too was Christian and Rick Devens' plan that they were executing at Tribal Council, right? Right before leading up to Tribal Council, they're coming up with a plan. Christian and Rick Devens, they're talking about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. They have the parchment that says you have an idol, right? That like, is that what it said? I don't even remember. But like, regardless, they have the parchment and they decide, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Let's hide this at tribal council. And they put on the best acting skills that they have to really try to execute
Bro,
that
that was
plan.
another professional survivor moment, bro. They're like, okay, Christian, you're gonna fall, and I'm gonna slip it in, okay? It was perfectly orchestrated.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, you have the distraction, you have the pull there. I mean, it's actually fantastic.
I thought, dude, when Rick Devens was like, "Yeah, I want to put the idol at Tribal," like you just know that guy's been fantasizing for 6 years since he left to be like, bro. Christian told him about the idol, and he was like, "Yeah, I have to do this idea right now." Like, bro, Devens has been waiting so long to pull this off, and that's just like, it it's cool, bro. He's just like such a fan. And he's like, I want to do it so bad. Like, and he's not worried at all about like the repercussions of the event. He's like, nope, chance, do it right away. Let's go.
And you know what? In his Survivor experience, when he played the first time in season 38, he had a second chance. He was voted out of the game, came back into the game, and really did not let any of those heavy chains affect him again. You know, we talked a lot about earlier about people not really utilizing that second chance in the game. Rick Devens is someone who recognizes the mistakes that they made when he played like during the Edge of Extinction the first time, and was able to change and adapt his game to where he was sitting there at Final Four as the person that is going to win this game if he wasn't taken out by Chris Underwood in Fire. So I think he is so willing to make those big moves and big risks because he's already been there. He's made a mistake. He's actively adapted in the middle of a season, and it's worked out for him. So I think he's willing to throw all caution to the wind and take those risks. And God, I'm so freaking excited Rick Devens is playing this season. We need a Rick Devens in every season of Survivor. And knowing that like Rick Devens and Christian are working with each other, like it literally warms my heart so much. Like I genuinely couldn't be happier watching the two of them.
That's sweet, bro. I want to think if there's anything else I want to say. You know who I want to talk about? Who we haven't mentioned. Well, I want to. If you somebody you want to talk about from either the purple or the yellow tribe, like who, like they haven't voted, so it's hard to give them like a nomination. But if you were to, like, who would you say? And then, but somebody that I'm just not very familiar with, even though I watched her season, I guess I just forget. But Angelina, her reputation, all we know so far, she likes to look. And I don't know anything else about her, but like I'm pretty sure she was on the Goliath team in David versus Goliath, and she got to the finale. So like she's definitely more than just somebody who stands around and looks. So like, can you kind of speak to her, like to what she was when she played?
Well, she is a very like socially cognizant player. At times, I think she at times. Do you remember? I mean, she's the whole jacket fiasco is like one of the big instances where it's just like that social awareness is not as that was her. She's Natalie. Can I have your jacket? That's her. So hopefully that clicks all the bells for you. But I don't know. That's a player that I think has the ability to kind of like blend in and hide within this group of players that is so threatening. Like she isn't the biggest threat by any means, and she's not like a social wizard like Suri, because like Angelina's kind of known for like, I don't want to say a fuck up, but like a really embarrassing moment, right, with Natalie like and her jacket. Even though she is a player that was able to get to the final three, had a chance to win, gets third place, but she's still she's
okay.
Third place behind Mike White, who's also playing. Yep.
I got another question about Mike White, by the way.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So like I remember last season, it's like Savannah had an immunity challenge where like her legs are sticking out and she's got to use like all her core to like hold something up, which okay, like I know Savannah was like a challenge threat, but I swear, like the majority of her challenge wins like favored the lightest, strongest person. But anyways, hey, not the point, not the point. Mike White, right? So like in a world, like let's say we're in a vacuum and both Mike White and Q get to the merge. Who you think's pulling out more immunity wins?
I mean, did you see the abs on Mike White? Like, holy shit, bro's ripped. And it's
Yeah.
not like did Q win an immunity challenge during his season? I can't even think about that in season
I don't know.
46.
Bro, Q's
But
a former D1 athlete.
yeah.
He's like a wide receiver at Clemson, and we're out here being like, yo, but Mike White kind of got some motion to him, bro.
And I think that's kind of the beauty of Survivor, where like that, like the archetype of like the big strong people, like you do have like the Jonathans who will win a lot of those strength based challenges, but you're gonna have the competitors like D, right, who is super strong, even though she has like a very like smaller stature compared to someone who's like a freaking Goliath, like true Goliath, like Jonathan. Like D's fucking ripped, you know. So like, I don't know who I think would have the more immunity wins between Mike White and Q. I guess I would go with Q, because I feel like Mike White would just really be like looking for a glass of wine to be drinking out there while he's just like
out, bro.
Well, I
sit out if he gets a chance. Yo,
bro, like
do you want your milk and cookies?
dude,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
when Mr. Beast comes onto this season, if Mike White is there and Mr. Beast like offers money to like step out of the challenge, not to say that like Mike White is stepping out for like because he needs the money or anything, because like obviously he's super successful with White Lotus, but like throwing a glass of wine, Mike White will definitely sit out because like he's just there for the experience. I remember in Mike White's season, in season 37, when they were looking for the advantage hidden on the island in the middle of like the reward with like him, Nick, and Angelina, and Mike White's just like, oh, we gotta play the game, and he's literally walking around the island with his glass of wine, like hastily playing the game of Survivor, you know. Like bro is like the biggest clown. I love Mike White. I cannot say enough good things about Mike White. So he brings such an interesting perspective of laid back energy, but still loving the game and being a great player, because he's just so likable. There's a reason why he got second place and almost won during such a great season, a competitive season. So yeah. I don't even know what the original question was, but I can't get enough of Mike White.
All right, so it sounds like Mike White would be your nomination from the Yellow Tribe as far as like a Torchy goes. But
I think so.
But I know we talked about Rizzo, but like I don't know if Rizzo's kind of like figuring it out as he goes, but we believe in him. But I don't know if I'd give him like the Torchy of the Purple Tribe. So like, who do you feel like has played a strong game on the Purple Tribe?
You know, I think I would have given it to Kyle. I think Kyle did a lot of the big legwork, getting that big alliance together, being like the person who he is. You have Colby and Stephanie who attach themselves with each other, and Kyle's able to work with them as well as bring in Genevieve, like, because Genevieve and Kyle, they were obviously able to work with each other too. So when you see those four people come together, I'm gonna give like the money to like the previous winner, right? Because if you're a winner, you know how to play people, you know, you're a lawyer, you know how to play this game, and people still want to work with you. Like, my god, Kyle's just a fucking enigma. He's literally him. So the fact that he's out of this game fucking sucks. I mean, friend of the pod, we love Kyle here. Hard to see him go. I think a lot of credit does go to him. I do also want to shout out Q, though, for that tribe. He might not have a vote, but we haven't seen any Q antics yet this season, which I think is totally, like, everyone is waiting for Q to be Q, but Christmas isn't canceled yet. It's still running, you know, it's still planned for the future. He's just sitting there biding his time, but I think he recognizes that in this moment, like, he has the relationships, he doesn't have a vote, so he can't do so much of like the Q antics that really gets him caught up in his own game. Yeah. But I think for now, I think I would probably give it to him, or honestly, maybe Genevieve. Why would I not give it to Genevieve? What am I even saying? The fact that she was able to find the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, I think giving it to Ozzy was a really good choice for her too, though.
Yeah.
Because Ozzy could be a person that's targeted at any point during the game, and the idol ends up in her hands. She's a threatening, strategic player that is playing this game a little bit more socially, trying to build those connections. I think if there's anyone who is going to change the way that they play, it's going to be Genevieve. She's my winner pick for a reason, and I think because she was able to integrate herself within that alliance, still has a vote. As long I think she will keep her arms length that with Q, so I think I praise Q for not doing his Q antics, but I really appreciate Genevieve and her ability to adapt, and I'm excited for how she plays the game.
Yeah. I could totally see, like, for Genevieve, like, everybody knows that she's got the potential to turn it on and be cutthroat, like, at any minute. But for right now, it seems like she's had the ability to slow down her game and focus of just, like, who's around her. But, like, she doesn't have the same problem with Joe's, like, who's going to start the game slow, and maybe if he gets deep, like, he'll have the ability to be in a power position. You don't know if he's going to take the shot. But Genevieve, you can trust that when the moment gets there, bro, she ain't going to be scared. She's not hesitating.
Great shout. Any other topics that you think we haven't talked about that you want to go over?
I just want to hear one of these Q antics that, like, sticks on your mind. Like when I go into the next episode, like, what should I be looking for, like, from Q? Like, what is he?
Like, what are some of his antics or something like that? I think what I go back to is when they had freshly, like, merged in his season, I think it was, and there was, like, an advantage hidden on the beach, and everyone was, like, scattered around looking for it, and Q was, like, calling out people for the most, like, minute little things, trying to be like, oh, you're doing this, you're a threat, you need to go home. I can't think of one of the specific things off the top of my mind right now, but it's like, oh, Hunter, it was like a game of hide and seek or something like that, right? Like, Hunter was, like, hiding up in a tree, I think it was, and no one could find him, and Q's like, you see that? Hunter was the last one in the challenge. He's really good at hiding. You know what that means? He might hide his way all the way to the end of the season. You know what? Hunter needs to go. Like, and then he just changes his entire game based off of some little frivolous thought that's just so small in the grand scheme of the game. And I think I'm waiting for, like, a Q moment like that. Also, I also think about when, like, he was on his original tribe with, like, Banu, and he was trying to coach Banu, right? Like, coach the way that, like, Banu needed to play the game.
Bro, if we talk about Banu in every episode, we're doing something right, bro. I watched a clip of him yesterday where, like, when Banu realized he's getting voted out, he started blaming God for putting him on Survivor and getting voted out. Okay, so Q. That's beside the point. I loved Banu, by the way. I thought he was great. I think he's a great guy. But Q. It sounds like he can talk in absolutes, like, versus being, like, open-minded and flexible. So we just gotta look out to see what.
I think it's that he's a little too flexible. Like, he was constantly changing the plan too with Kenzie and Tiff, and I think that was really rubbing them the wrong way the last time he played too, if I remember correctly. So I think he was just, like, constantly, like, adapting his game, but to the point where it was, like, a hindrance for the other people, and it was, like, difficult because he didn't know what Q was thinking 10 minutes later, and he's so gung-ho.
Change so dramatically.
So that's kind of the Q that I think people are aware of how he can be, and that is definitely on everybody's mind.
Yeah. So patience is a virtue for Q, is what we're seeing. You know, if he doesn't have a vote, hopefully he'll be patient then.
One can only hope for him.
Okay. The last thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys, like, access, or if we access clips from, like, the the episode, but bro, Aubrey in the challenge hit her face on the water so hard, bro. I remember watching it and going, oh, because you and I have had like multiple concussions like in our history, and like belly flopping, like I've seen dudes do belly flops over and over and over again, and after, like, belly flops give you concussions, like the impact of the water. I can't think of what it's called, the surface tension. You know, you're just hanging out in the pool and you just like slap the water and it makes like that really loud pop. Like it's all the tension of the water. Like Aubrey's face hit the water first. Like that smack was her face from 15 feet up, and she didn't even get the target, bro. Like, I was feeling for her. Like she could have even been dazed the rest of the episode from just hitting the water, bro.
Mm.
I'm gonna. I want to see, like, I'm gonna use ChatGPT to calculate like how much force did Aubrey's face hit the water, and like
God.
see like what it's compared to. Is it like a linebacker like sacking the QB, like, because
Ugh.
it is not low. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, she's just jumping too, and then like that forward lean gets created, and it's just oh, not good, not good.
Not
But
at all.
as I type, feel free to do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like Aubrey, and I'm just hoping that that doesn't kind of become a moment that summarizes her game for this season too, where she is attempting to do something really big and then ends up falling flat right on her face, kind of hitting that mark. And I think it's almost setting up in that way where it is kind of ironic in that sense where, you know, she is feeling alone a little bit on the island, and a tribe swap can definitely be in her benefit if she doesn't really vibe with the people on her current tribe. And you know, she has an idol in her pocket. She has ammunition. She can totally use it to her advantage in this game. And I don't know. I feel like there's a really good chance that she does fall on her face. But that same thing can be said for everybody. She is just a huge threat. I think people should be worried about the game that she plays, because if you let her get settled in with people that want to play the game with her and choose to play the game with her, I think she's a really good person to be in an alliance with if people want to work with her, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. That was a really big strong suit. Once she had her duo, her ride or die, in the first season that she played in Koa Wrong, that's when she was able to be most successful. So I think she just really needs another person to bounce ideas off of and play the game with. I think she's better in numbers rather than in isolation, playing for herself. And I think I think a tribe swap is really important for her, just because she was not necessarily a person that was really in a good spot. I mean, they literally went through her bag because they did not trust her enough to really have that sense of like, yeah, we want to work with Aubrey. And that's okay, you know? She just needs to really find her people. Definitely going
Mm-hmm.
into the tribe swap.
You know, I think like my player synopsis of Aubrey is that, or maybe just in general, like there's some players that are really good at like creating opportunities for themselves. Like coach gets in the game, he's like, this is how I'm playing. I'm not gonna like base it off like the people around me. This is what I'm doing, and he creates opportunities. But what Aubrey's really good at is when the game opens itself to her, that's when she can take full advantage. And so like that was represented
Mm.
with
Oh, what's it called? With her getting the idol. So I was also reading. Okay, so I'm gonna throw in some stats of Aubrey hitting the water. Okay,
Okay.
I'm guessing that.
like Aubrey's peak height was 15 feet. Okay.
Valid.
So when Aubrey hit the water, her downhill speed was about 21 miles per hour.
Fair.
21
Okay.
miles per hour. And then let's see. And then And then you have to calculate, like, you ever see a bullet like being shot through a bucket of water and then like it slows down like really quick. So then like the thing that creates like the force of impact is like how fast does Aubrey's face stop going down in the water? And let's see. So the force is about 8,000 newtons, which only lasts a tiny fraction of a second. And now I will ask, what is 8,000 newtons of force compared to?
I love that we're getting an educational tutorial right now. For those that don't know, CJ studied mathematics in college, so numbers are definitely something that our family is drawn to, you know? God, I see you covering your mouth and laughing right now, so I think you definitely need to tell me what how bad this is. I want to know what it's compared to, the force of impact.
It is compared to, it's 1,600 to 1,800 pounds of force, which is roughly the weight of an adult male cow, bro.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God, I'm saying like I'm not saying like, oh my God, it was so funny watching like Aubrey hit her face on the water. No, my reaction was visceral, bro. Like, I've had head injuries. It's awful. And like, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, like what happens on the show, like it's a lot harder than it looks, bro. Yeah, the water that hit her face was an adult male cow, bro. Survivor's a lot harder than it looks. Oh my God, I've been wanting to see how much like what it compared to, dude.
And dude, I feel like we're the only people in the world that probably look that up too, which is kind of great. I love it. But it's like it's the attention to detail like that, you know? It's really crazy to think. Survivor players don't get enough respect for the like what they go through within the elements and how they play the game. It's not just like some facade, it's not some fake. Like they are out there starving. You literally see the people like lose tons of pounds every single season. Like you see them wrapped in bandages, the infections they have, like ruptured Achilles. Like this shit happens. This shit's serious. It's not like they're just like going out there and they're sleeping in tents when the cameras are turned off for the day. It's like, no, cameras are always rolling. You're living in the elements. Like, do you remember in God, what season was it? I think it was
32.
Wrong, and when the bug in the ear, is that what you were going
dude,
with?
that's my biggest fear.
Okay,
I think about going on Survivor, bro, and I'm like, I'm gonna sleep like this. I'm literally so scared of a bug going in my ear because of it, dude. It's scratching your brain. No, literally my biggest fear that I think about when I go to sleep. Sorry to interrupt.
No, dude, that was elite brother telepathy there. Yeah. That was perfect. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, Aubrey falling on her face was really the last point I wanted to make, dude.
All right, perfect. Well, I will say, CJ, it was a pleasure having you on the episode. I'm super excited. I mean, this was so much fun. Definitely one of the highlights, right? And hopefully it's the start of a great season. I want to shout out and thank everyone for tuning in and following along with us throughout the season while we talk about Survivor 50. I truly appreciate everyone who's joined the conversation and who has continued to show support for our show. Be sure to check out the other amazing Purple Pants podcast powered productions like Survivor News for more content. And until next time, it's been Rob.
It's been CJ.
It's been Split the Vote.
Split the Vote.
Peace.